Well, all right, it's finally the time that we've all been waiting for where we talk about some modern wrestling. Smackdown November the 8th. They were in Buffalo, New York. Shuffle off to Buffalo, shuffle off to Buffalo. 13,000 people, more than that in Buffalo is what they said. Was Elio DiPaolo on the card to draw a house like that?
I know he was catering that card that night.
You know, I've got some of his marinara sauce in a bottle.
I got a couple glasses from his restaurant.
Yeah, well, and you should take them back because they've been looking for you. Anyway, you know, they said when I was there, they said this guy came in, he stole 2 of our glasses. Anyway, do you think they're going for the Emmy consideration again? What do they call the Emmys they give the soap operas? The best daytime drama. So, well, would be the nighttime, I guess. Best nighttime dramatic rendering by a Samoan. Is that an Emmy award category?
It could be. I mean, I think Heyman's definitely going for the writing Emmy.
So again, if you just got these pesky matches out of the way, this is a fantastic, dramatic television program. They started off with Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso. Here they come. And it's like they give the fans a cue sheet. They chant OTC. They cheer in the right places. As soon as Roman gets there, he don't even have to speak. He's about to speak, and Jay's music plays, and he comes down the aisle, and he's not yeeting. He's being serious, right? Probably needed some fucking wind this week. But the people are still waving and yeeting and cheering. It's like they give them a fucking cue sheet. Okay, when this happens, chant this. They have trained these people like Pavlov's poodle. Even in the Attitude Era, the crowds were going batshit crazy, but a lot of times they went into business for themselves, or they were just generally cheering at what was going on. But now, these people can just walk out and look at each other. And the people are going crazy. What the fuck have they done here? Is it in the water?
It's the anticipation. The anticipation's sometimes better than the payoff.
Anticipation.
Stop it. I gotta stop saying words that there are songs.
It's making me wait. Doom, 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 doom.
It's making me vomit.
It's keeping me eating.
Yeeting?
So, yeeting. The anticipation is keeping me yeeting. So Jay asked Roman to hear Sammy out. That was it. He spoke about 10 seconds, and Sammy's music plays. And here now, the fans are singing and chanting Sammy Uso, Sammy Uso. They're singing his song. And Roman's standing there not looking happy. And Sammy Uso chants go for a while, and it's 10 minutes into the fucking show when Sammy starts talking, and it's the first time that anybody has uttered more than one sentence. And then he does the promo, and again, this was the mute that I was tasked with booking, not even 15 years ago, and now he's goddamn a monologuist on par with fucking any of the great orators of history. And he tells Roman that the kick to the face was an accident, but I came there to crown jewel for Jay, not for you, because Jay was my guy. He was always with me. But tonight I came to say that when it was the 4 of us side by side at Crown Jewel, it was special. It was like family. And there's a thin line between, no, he didn't say there's a thin line between love and hate. He said that people think the opposite of love is hate, but it's not. It's indifference. And Sammy tells Roman, says, I think you want all of this back. I think you love me. And Roman's trying not to crack up at this. And Sammy makes the big pitch they could all get together again. If Roman wants, then Sammy will leave and he'll never come back. But if he wants to fight side by side with him, he'll do it. Sammy just wants an apology. And the fans start chanting, hug it out, hug it out. And Roman's like, you want me to apologize to you? And Sammy said, no, not me. Apologize to Jay. Oh. And so Roman walks up to Jay and he says, I'm sorry. And there's a big pop. And then Roman says, I'm sorry that I ever let you waste my time with this. He's not family. This is not about him. Basically, fuck this. I told you it was a waste of time. I want Solo. Solo, get out here. And Sammy walks back kind of dejected, but Solo doesn't come out. Jacob pops up on the screen and cuts a great promo putting Solo over. When I was saying that they needed Jacob Fatu all that time before they got him, they got to have Jacob. I didn't know he'd be the best promo in the group too. But anyway, so he puts Solo over on the tape or on the screen, and Roman is pissed at this whole thing, and they leave the ring there. And then they go to the break and all that stuff, and they come back, and Roman and Jay are in the back arguing about Sammy. And then Roman gets snippy with Jimmy. And this whole thing's falling apart. Are these guys ever going to see eye to eye? What in the world's going to happen as the bloodline turns? Now hit the organ, Brian. Boom! That's what we've been waiting on. What'd you think?
Oh, if that's what you've been waiting on, I can give you some more.
We ain't been waiting that much.
What's that?
We ain't been waiting that much.
Oh. Well, I thought the segment was good. No, the segment was just fine. And, if you look at it from Roman Reigns' point of view, all of these guys together cost him everything. I don't know. I think Roman Reigns may be too much of a nice guy. I guess that's my point here.
You know what they need in these segments? They need to figure out a way to do the special effects thing where the lightning and the thunder is crashing outside the arena.
I think they changed Roman's music when he came back as a babyface. It's not as, I don't know. I mean, I guess with the other one, he was also walking out slowly with Heyman. But it feels like they changed the music.
You're indicating they had to change the beat of the music because Heyman wasn't waddling along with him?
I think it was a little slower when Heyman was escorting him to the ring, is what I'm saying.
It could have been just the one note at the end of a day in the life to get Heyman out to the ring. But anyway, that was that. We'll see more of them here later on here in a while. But then Bayley wrestled Candy LaRue. Did Candy get a job with some type of blackmail that they continue to put her on television?
Remember, her partner for, so going back to NXT was Indy Hartwell, and they just let her go.
Well, apparently she didn't have pictures like Candy's got pictures.
She didn't have a husband on the roster, too, is what she didn't have. Although I guess in kayfabe, she was married to Dexter Lumis, wasn't she?
Well, I thought she and Gargano were...
No, I'm saying Indy Hartwell was married to Dexter Lumis, not Candy LaRue. Is that her name?
No, I thought Indy was wasn't it? They were doing a thing with
they all lived together.
Austin Theory.
Austin Theory, yeah, and then
it was Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell, and then Gargano was with Candy. But yeah, Gargano and Candy were trying to keep an eye on Austin and Indy, so they didn't fuck. And then suddenly Dexter Lumis came in and cock blocked
like
Austin
a peeping
Theory.
Tom. He was like a peeping Tom, just like pop up in the window, and he was just staring at everyone like a killer. And then she fell in love with him, and then they both didn't make it to the main roster for a while.
Do you think they let Indy go for being loose?
No, I don't even think you should.
How many
people
was she involved with, for heaven's sake?
In kayfabe, that's one person.
Well, yeah, Theory, and then Loomis.
She wasn't involved with Theory. They were just kind of like junior cheerleaders. That was one of the things that made the whole thing so stupid.
I don't know, because old Johnny had to dress up like a shark to make sure they didn't fuck on the beach.
I never thought we'd be reevaluating NXT of that dark period as I hear. Sorry, Jace, I'm wrestling my notes as we talk about this nonsense.
Because, see, I was going to mention Sameface, old Johnny Sameface, Candy LaRue's husband, is arguing now with Tommaso Ciampa because Sameface is friends with the Motor City Machine Guns, and Ciampa don't like that. But then, as they were arguing, go ahead.
What do you think of just that before you get to the next thing? The idea that they're already teasing this dissension between Gargano and Ciampa, although Gargano's not really fighting him too hard, about the idea that he's hanging out with the enemy.
I think that anything that gets Ciampa away from Gargano, I would love to watch. I think Ciampa's work is impeccable. I think he's in tremendous condition. He looks believable. He can be serious when you put him in something. And he's been neutered for the past, I don't know how many years, with this fucking indie-faced nitwit. He looks like a goddamn pixie you hang off a Christmas tree. And he's constantly been partners with Ciampa. You can't see Ciampa without seeing this fucking guy. And break him up. Get rid of him. Throw it out. Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
All right. We get the idea. The idea.
But then Orton walked through the shot and into the arena, and they went to the break because he's got something to say. And that's a good time for us to go to commercial. And when they come back, amazingly, he hadn't said it yet. And he called Owens out. And Owens came out, but the officials are out there and said, no, no, no. And Owens says, fuck it. And he runs to the ring and he rolls in and they get in a fight. And the agents are in and the referees are in. And Owens gets the advantage on Orton for a second and gives him a pile driver. And to be completely honest, it was one of the worst pile drivers. It was a sloppy pile driver. His head came nowhere near the fucking mat. And I think part of the problem may have been Owens used to do a package pile driver in Ring of Honor. That was his finish, where he would double underhook the guy's arms and pick him up that way and jump and drop. But Orton is not only a grown man, he's overgrown. And I think he was too big for Owens to do that too. But he gave him a pile driver, but Orton sold it and the announcers went ape shit. And they said the pile driver's been banned, and they called for the EMTs with a stretcher. And they brought the backboard out, and Orton's hand was shaking. It was like when you have a neck injury. And Cody, Orton's friend, came to the ring. And they stayed with this. Orton got loaded onto the stretcher. They were treating the whole thing seriously. They got the pile driver over in one segment when nobody's done one because of that. We've talked about the goofiness where they eliminated the tombstones and the pile drivers and moves like that because people might get hurt and they still allow people to dive off the top to the floor and go through furniture. But in this case, because they haven't seen one for so long, and then they did one, and then they treated it seriously, and the replays were from an angle where you couldn't fucking tell, and the camera followed Orton all the way to the ambulance, and the ambulance out the back door, and the announcers after the break, they came back, they were still selling it. This is the way you do it. And it's a pile driver. And when they find somebody besides Owens that can really give a good one, then it'll be deadly because a big star sold it. But then this is what I say when I talk about how AEW and these indie promotions do a disservice to the entire business as well as their own, because the fans who saw this and are now like, oh shit, the pile driver. Holy crap. They'll watch the AEW show next week, and some 150-pound grade schooler will get spike pile driven on a fucking chair on a table, and he'll get right back up in 30 seconds.
No, there were several videos that went around after this, and everyone agreed that it was incredibly well done. It was a really strong angle. The comparisons between something in AEW and this, and there were multiple examples of just guys, whether it's the Canadian Destroyer or just nonstop tombstone pile drivers, and they mean nothing. Nothing even means a pin. Means nothing. And here, now you have lots of questions about what's going to happen next, and now it means something. The next time someone even teases a pile driver, it'll be Owens. The next time Owens teases a pile driver,
yeah,
people will know how to react to it.
And it's the same thing we did in Smoky Mountain Wrestling in 1992 when Paul Orndorff came in. That was his finish, but the pile driver was illegal in Smoky Mountain Wrestling because it was illegal in Tennessee wrestling because actually Nick Goulas had the Tennessee Athletic Commission back in the 60s make it a rule the pile driver was illegal. So the announcers weren't lying. And so we wouldn't let Orndorff use his finish. And finally, he went nuts and just said, fuck it, and pile drove 5 people in the same angle. And everybody was laid out and goddamn, crying and whining and selling. And it made it look like a fucking scene of chaos. And that's the way you get any move over. It's not that difficult. It's elementary. It's been done millions of fucking times in wrestling. Except in indie wrestling where nothing matters. And what if it did? So anyway, a great segment here. And it's something that Orton can sell. But anyway.
That was SmackDown.
No, it wasn't. Not yet. Because then we went to Champa and same face against fucking Prince Elton John and his little dog Kit, out of whatever Purely Dreary's names are. And Champa went nuts and beat up both of them by himself and beat the blonde one in 1 minute. So that's the right use of the heels there, and also putting some attention on Champa, again, get him away from the fucking garden gnome.
Well, you have to think they're definitely teasing the turn now. I guess they get to do their match one time on the main roster at least.
So anyhow, at 9 o'clock, we got Jade and Bianca against Fridge and Tiffany. And finally, Candy came out and pushed Bianca off the top rope, and Tiffy told Candy to take a hike because nobody asked her to come out there. But Naomi came out and jumped Candy, and everybody hit everybody, and Bianca hit her finish on Tiffy 1, 2, 3. Did I encapsulate that correctly?
Oh, yeah.
Very good. So then, remember they announced or advertised or whatever the Waller effect with the Motor City Machine Guns?
Actually, no, I did not remember that.
Last week. Because then when this match came up, Waller in Theory versus the Motor City Machine Guns, the announcers actually mentioned that this was originally scheduled to be the Waller effect, but they changed it to a match. And thank God. Because number one, we didn't have to see the Waller effect. Number two, the Machine Guns don't get over by talking, they get over by working. And at least we got to see Theory in there. His work is still great, but we've been ignoring him because he's been attached to Grayson Waller. The guns they're quick, they're precise, they're small but aggressive. Their double teams are the equalizers for the handicap they have in size. And they're a good tag team, and the first move they made was a correct blind tag again. Because they can tag hand to hand. They learned tag team wrestling before all these indie outlaw goofs just totally prostituted everything. So they know how to do it right. Now, having said that, at one point, Shelley did a dive to the floor and started selling his left knee and looked like that it wasn't part of the plan, Smithers. And they got some heat on him, and then he was walking around, but it looked a little dodgy. I hope he's okay, because could you imagine that goddamn run of luck? Oh, we just got to the WWE after 20 years, and I just blew my knee. But Shelley hit a kind of a rushed cold tag to Saban. Saban made a lightning comeback. But then there's a lot of problems with this. They tagged Shelley back in, and then they worked on Austin Theory, but then the heels cut Saban off and got on him. Grayson Waller's punches are the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. It's like a 60-year-old retired housekeeping woman. The babyface is tagged
a housekeeping woman or a housekeeper?
Housekeeping woman. A housekeeper could be a male or female. I wanted people to know that it was a housekeeping woman's punches. And the babyface is tagged back and forth again. The match just kind of turned into a mess. I don't know whether they were rushing or whether Waller and Theory wanted input. It didn't hold up to a lot of Machine Guns matches I've seen. But finally, they hit their finish. 1, 2, 3, and I just noted that anything that Waller is in doesn't work. And there you had that.
What do you think of the usage of the machine gun so far?
Well, again, they're doing great because they've got somewhat of a following in that Shelley and Saban have been a team and been working for the secondary companies for years and years. And so automatically they had a little bit more interest than just somebody coming in from NXT. And then the way they've been presented on WWE television for people who had never seen them. Because let's face it again, as we talked about, that's the majority of this audience. They have produced what you would expect winners or people at a high level to produce. They came in, they won the belts the second week. They got involved in the Bloodline story. They haven't been treated like flunkies that are winning completely as a fluke, but they were able to weave in there and get that done. And so I think so far, so good. And I have to think that they probably got an eye on Shelley and Saban to do something after an initial run in the ring and on screen as coaches or whatever at the Performance Center, because these are the guys kind of like I was looking for in Ring of Honor 15 years ago, that they're late 30s, early 40s, they can still go in the ring, but they're also young enough that they can relate to the young guys, but they're old enough and experienced enough they can teach the young guys. That's a generation in the early 2000s. That's a generation we missed because that's the time where the territories went away, and the only guys that were left were going to the indies from WCW or WWF in the 90s. They'd already made a bunch of money. They were big stars. They passed the point where they wanted to go around and do this type of thing. And we missed that a whole generation in the death of the territories as the guys that were experienced veterans, but still working with and teaching the guys that were 10, 12 years younger. But that was that.
And that was SmackDown.
No, it wasn't. Because we've still got the Bloodline acknowledgement ceremony to go. Because that's Solo's thing. Solo and his Bloodline had a special ceremony in the main event slot so everybody could acknowledge him. And oh, by the way, Nick Aldis revealed there's a new WWE Women's United States title belt. Oh, joy. But then when Solo asked Buffalo to acknowledge him, Roman's music played. And here he came to the ring. And Solo told Roman, "You got to acknowledge me as the tribal chief." And the fans chanted, "Fuck you, Solo." And Roman says, "Buffalo, do you acknowledge him?" And the fans said, "No, no." And Roman says, "Neither do I. And I'm here to challenge you one-on-one, where the winner is the only tribal chief." And Solo laughed at him. "I'm already the tribal chief. You can't be tribal chief because you ain't got no tribe." So this is where I'm a little confused. I'm not conflicted like the other guy was earlier, the Beast Mortos. I'm confused. Solo challenged Roman to find 4 guys to team with him and they can go to war. And Roman said, "You mean war games? Well, I only see 4 of you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Solo said the 5th guy is going to be Sami Zayn. Now, we're going to get to this in a second because Sammy's coming out about now. But if war games got to be 5-on-5, one side still only got 4. You know what I'm saying, Brian? How's this going to work out?
They're going to add a 5th member to both teams.
Well, they're about to here in a second, maybe, kind of. But Solo, when Solo said the 5th man was Sami Zayn, that's when Sami came out, and the heels jumped on Roman. And the Usos hit the ring, and they fight the heels, but Jacob stops them. And then Solo tells Sami, "Get in the ring." And they're holding Roman, and they're giving Sami the big chance to run and kick him again. And Sami runs and kicks Solo. And then Roman hits a Superman punch and a fucking kick on Jacob and then spears Solo. And Roman sees Sami and they stare at each other and the Usos put up the fingers. And the fans chant Sami Uso, Sami Uso. And Sami puts up his finger and gets a pop. And then finally Roman looks around, sticks his finger up, and the place blows. But now we got Roman, we got Sami, we got Jay, and we got Jimmy, right? And we've got Solo and Tonga and Jacob. So it's going to have to be 4-on-4, is it not?
It will be 5-on-5 with an additional person added to both teams. It may not necessarily be someone. I don't want to play spoiler or anything.
Are you on the goddamn creative team now? How do you know this?
I am not. I'm not an employee. I'm not accepted any sort of payment from WWE. No.
Well, I'm just saying. It appears like they need to go 4-on-4 because they're each a guy short. And they haven't got much time. This is Survivor Series, right?
Yes, it is.
November 30th. They've only got a couple weeks.
That's all they need.
How the hell are they going to do that? Just shit another Samoan?
Maybe it won't be someone involved in this, is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, you're talking in circles like Moxley.
They're going to add Rollins and Bronson Reed, is what I'm saying.
Well, why would they do that?
They just will.
So you're coming out and you're going out on a limb here and you're saying Reed and Rollins will be added to this thing.
I think so.
Well, folks, mark it down in your little black books wherever you keep them.
That's pressure. Don't do that.
Okay, in that case, just put it in pen or in pencil. Don't put it in pen. Put it in something can be erased, but we'll see what happens. Now that we've done that, maybe they'll change it. Now that we've spilled the beans. But that was SmackDown.
Yeah, it was. And this is your show.